बड़ी खबर भारत अमेरिका तनाव को लेकर, जहां एक तरफ दुनिया ने रूस और भारत की अटूट दोस्ती की मिसाल देखी, तो वहीं अब अमेरिका में डोनाल्ड ट्रंप बुरी तरह घिरते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। और इनके घिरने का आलम यह है कि एक नहीं, दो नहीं, तीन नहीं, चार नहीं, बल्कि कई लोगों ने उनके फैसले पर सवाल उठाए।
यूनाइटेड स्टेट की तरफ से इंडिया के लिए एक बड़ी खबर, एक बड़ी खुशखबरी आ गई है जी। ट्रंप के खुद के लोग आज इंडिया को वहां पर ओपनली सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं।
Why is India standing up to the United States? Why now? Why here? Well, the answer isn't about hostility or rivalry for rivalry's sake. It's about maturity.
डॉक्टर जयशंकर ने सीधा अमेरिकन्स को ये कहा है कि we have red lines.
My friends, when we look out at the world in 2025, we see a global stage that's more complex, more connected, and more competitive than ever before. And in the middle of that stage, we see two great democracies: the United States of America and the Republic of India, both nations proud, both nations diverse, both nations with dreams as big as the world itself. Now, folks might be asking, why is India standing up to the United States? Why now? Why here? Well, the answer isn't about hostility or rivalry for rivalry's sake. It's about maturity. It's about a nation that has grown in confidence, in capability, and in conviction. For decades, India's economic rise has been steady and determined. It's become a hub of innovation, a global supplier of technology, pharmaceuticals, and talent. And when a nation reaches that point, when it can feed its people, educate its youth, launch its satellites into orbit, it begins to see itself not as a follower in the world order, but as a shaper of it. There's also a matter of geography and history. India sits at the heart of Asia, surrounded by opportunities and challenges that the United States can't fully experience from across the ocean. That means when India speaks up about regional security, trade routes, or the rules of technology and energy, it speaks with the authority of one who lives in the neighborhood. But let's be clear, standing up doesn't mean walking away. It means engaging on equal terms. It means saying, we respect you, but we will chart our own course, and in a healthy international community, that's a good thing. It forces all of us, Americans, Indians, and others, to listen more, to compromise more, and to find solutions that respect the dignity of all peoples. Because in the end, the measure of a partnership isn't whether one side always agrees with the other. It's whether both sides can disagree and still work together toward the common good. And I truly believe that the U.S. and India can do that. Not just because of what we have in common, but because of the vision we share for a world that is more free, more prosperous, and more just. Thank you. India's growing economic strength and self-reliance in 2025 are not sudden phenomena. They are the result of decades of calculated policy, societal transformation, and resilience in the face of global pressures. To understand why this economic rise has translated into greater independence from the United States, it's necessary to look at how India's economic journey has evolved, how its domestic capabilities have matured, and how global economic trends have shifted the balance of power. In the late 20th century, India's economy was largely inward-looking, protected by high tariffs and guided by centralized planning. The liberalization reforms of the early 1990s marked the turning point. By opening its markets, deregulating industries, and attracting foreign investment, India positioned itself for sustained growth. Over the next 3 decades, the country steadily increased its share of global GDP, driven by a young workforce, a rapidly expanding services sector, and significant growth in manufacturing and exports. By the early 2020s, India had moved firmly into the ranks of the world's top 5 economies. This economic momentum meant that India could increasingly fund its own development without depending heavily on foreign loans or aid from institutions historically influenced by the United States. In earlier decades, financial assistance often came with policy prescriptions aligned with American economic philosophy. By 2025, India had the fiscal capacity and foreign exchange reserves to chart its own economic course, reducing susceptibility to external pressure. This shift is crucial because economic self-reliance directly impacts political autonomy. A nation that can sustain itself financially is far less likely to be swayed by the promise or withdrawal of foreign funds. A key element of India's economic resilience is its diversification of trade and investment sources. Instead of relying predominantly on the United States and Western markets, India has cultivated deep economic ties with Southeast Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. Energy deals with Gulf nations, technology collaborations with East Asia, and agricultural exports to African markets have lessened the risk of economic dependency on any single country. This diversification has provided India with both leverage and security, the ability to say no to policies or agreements that conflict with its long-term interests without fearing a crippling economic backlash. The digital revolution has also been central to India's economic independence. Homegrown technology firms, advancements in digital payment systems, and innovations in artificial intelligence and biotechnology have made India a global competitor in sectors traditionally dominated by the United States and China. The success of India's unified payments interface, UPI, for example, has become a model for other nations, reducing the influence of foreign payment systems. Similarly, India's strides in renewable energy technology, particularly in solar manufacturing and green hydrogen, have positioned it as a leader in the global energy transition. The more a country innovates within its borders, the less it needs to import high-value technologies, which in turn strengthens its negotiating position in international agreements. Domestic manufacturing has also played a significant role. The Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India initiatives once seen as aspirational slogans, have matured into concrete policies that have bolstered India's industrial base. From defense equipment to pharmaceuticals, India has expanded its capacity to produce what it once imported. This is especially visible in the pharmaceutical sector, where India is not just self-sufficient in producing essential medicines, but is also a major exporter to both developed and developing nations. By becoming a net provider rather than a net importer, India has reduced a critical avenue of dependency. Another often overlooked dimension is India's demographic advantage. With a median age significantly younger than that of the United States, Europe or China, India's labor force is both large and dynamic. This youthful workforce fuels domestic consumption and provides the human capital needed for sustained economic expansion. As consumer markets within India grow, the country becomes less reliant on exports to the United States for economic vitality. This inward demand is a powerful shield against external economic pressures. Moreover, India's economic rise has coincided with a multipolar shift in the global economy.
जय हिंद दोस्तों, द हिंदी न्यूज में आपका स्वागत है। अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने बीते दिनों भारत पर 50% टैरिफ लगाने की घोषणा की है। उनके इस फैसले ने दोनों देशों के संबंधों को झटका दिया है। रिपब्लिकन नेता निकी हेली ने कहा है कि अमेरिका को समझना चाहिए कि चीन का सामना करने के लिए उसे भारत जैसे मित्र की जरूरत है। वहीं बराक ओबामा और अमेरिका के पूर्व विदेश मंत्री जॉन केरी ने कहा कि ट्रंप अपनी नीतियों से अपने सहयोगियों को दूर कर रहे हैं। वहीं अमेरिका के पूर्व राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा सलाहकार ने भी भारत पर लगाए गए टैरिफ का विरोध किया है।